I started my journey at the age of 12 selling my first item on eBay. And just through there, I learned just the ropes of reselling. I went on, just like how most entrepreneurs start, you try out all these different business models. I was doing merch by Amazon. I tried to sell my own socks in middle school. I was selling.
Cheers.
Cheers, boys.
Welcome back to the Doughboys podcast, where we talk all things Amazon, FBA, and business. We always like to pop a sparkling water. Today we got some orange juice going too.
You know how it goes.
So today we're going to be joined by special guest Carter Maxwell. Carter, thanks for joining us today. And if you want to start off, just kind of give us your background.
Okay, let's bring it back to, I guess, early journey for Carter Maxwell. So I guess I started my journey at the age of 12 selling my first item on eBay. And just through there, I learned just the ropes of reselling. I went on, just like how most entrepreneurs start, you try out all these different business models. I was doing merch by Amazon. I tried to sell my own socks in middle school. I was selling candy in middle school. I create a phone case business, and a lot of these fail and some were successful. And, along the ropes, I just kept continuing to learn. I'm super grateful for social media at the time. Like, these guys are putting together an awesome podcast. Someone else is going to be a complete beginner and they're going to stumble across this video and it's going to change their life. And I started selling on eBay at 12. And then I think I started selling on Amazon at about 16. Just how most people start out. Used books, CDs were actually ungated. This is about 6 years ago. And so I was selling a lot of CDs, used books. Audiobooks were huge back then. I'm not sure if they're super big now, that there's like audiobooks that you can easily buy for cheaply on Amazon. And so 6 years ago on Amazon, the landscape was a lot different. There wasn't as much content out there. I actually started out with the private label business model. Like, it was just the first video I found. And my first like 2 or 3 products were like huge flops. Like, I tried to sell like kitchen accessory. I tried to sell an iPhone case. Like, I mean, come on now. Think of the huge brands out there. And then I had a third one, which was like a sleeping apparatus. And that was actually my first successful product. After the failures, I kept that one successful product and started doing just reselling books. Sorry to take too long, almost back to where I am now. But retail arbitrage was huge for me. I made some life-changing money during COVID. We can kind of dive a little bit deeper into that. Once retail arbitrage started to dry up, I got into online arbitrage, which is what I do full-time right now.
So you started reselling at the age of 12. So basically a little over half your life now, you've been reselling and kind of in the e-commerce space. Would you say that's about right?
Yeah, Cisco. So I'm about 22 right now. And, I guess I don't say that number to like brag, but it's just like, I was a bit of a weird kid. Like, I remember I wanted to make money. And so I looked it up on Google, and there was an article, like 30 ways to make money as a teenager. It was like, walk your neighbor's dogs, mow your parents' lawn. And then it was like sell on eBay. And I was like, all right, like this one sounds interesting. And I had to find something to sell. And long story short, there was a coin that my aunt had gifted me like as a kid. I was like, this thing is selling, like there's people listing it for $25. So I put it on an auction for like 99 cents, like a 7-day auction. And I remember I got a bid and like I was so excited. And then like a week later, it sold for $25. And I didn't like feel like rich at the time. But I was like, I just sold an item. I don't even know who bought it. My parents just drove me to the post office to drop it off. Like, it was just a surreal experience. So
that's awesome.
Now, so when I first started selling on Amazon, this was like around like 3 years ago or so. You were actually one of the first people that I would see just kind of in my timeline, just because, you had sponsored ads and everything. And I hope you take this as a compliment, because it really is. Okay. There was a rumor spreading around that you are a robot, because there's no way that you can be on everyone's feed, selling everything, being the first on the Godzillas, being the first on inflatables, and then running this, Discord with hundreds of people in it. So I just want to say thank you for being also one of the people to have taught me when I first started in the beginning.
Hey, Cisco, man, I didn't actually know that, brother. Well, first off, I greatly appreciate the kind words. It's always great to hear that, especially with this podcast, like you guys put so much time and energy into it. Like I've spent, 4 or 5 years on social media. For someone to like come to me and like tell me thank you, like that literally means like the world, man. So thank you so much.
Oh, of course.
I want to add on to that a little bit. Yeah. So Josh, just some background, Carter. Josh is one of my employees. He was my warehouse manager out at Alpha Prep in Delaware. And Cisco mentioned the Godzilla toys, and I remember seeing a video of you like going and buying a ton of Godzillas. So then I went and bought a ton of Godzillas.
Really?
And then Josh, whenever he started working for me, I was looking at a Godzilla product on my computer, and he was like, "What are you doing?" That kind of started the conversation. So maybe Carter, because of your video, Josh became my warehouse manager.
I didn't know it at the time, but I have to thank Carter too. Thank you for getting me connected.
We all owe
with
a thank you
Logan.
to Carter.
Hey, thank you.
Can we like talk about Godzillas for a little bit? Because
before before we get into Godzillas, I'm going to cut you off, Cisco, because you can't call everyone a robot. You've been calling Logan a robot for the last 3 weeks, and now you're going to come on and start calling him. Yeah, is everyone a robot?
No, I've only called 2 people robot, and that's Carter and that's Logan. And the reason why for me it's a compliment is because, in my opinion, my view of you guys, it's that you guys are so efficient with your time. I mean, Logan has his hand in a bunch of things, and so do you, Carter. And both of you have been very successful, regardless of how thin you spread yourselves across, whether it's a Discord, arbitrage, coaching, traveling, etc. So that's my compliment to you guys.
Thank you, Cisco.
And we appreciate that.
Now I know what it means when he calls someone a robot.
I guess I'll take that as a compliment. That's cool. But yeah, I feel like Logan's on a whole nother level in terms of outsourcing. Like I'm
outsource everything.
Him. But
outsource everything.
On the talk of the Godzillas, there were some even better products. I don't know if y'all sold pools or chlorine or padding heaters at all by chance. Cisco, Josh, Logan.
That's where it comes up every episode.
It does come up almost every episode.
Yeah.
But like the Godzillas for me was just so random because the movie, in my opinion, it was not a great movie.
I didn't even watch it.
The Godzilla toys just sold like crazy, and it wasn't just those. The one that, at least for me, sold the best were the Godzilla, the mechanical one, the Funko
Mecha
Pop.
Godzilla.
The Funko Pop. The Funko Pop was like $30, and I think they stopped you at like 2 orders. So you can only order 2 from Funko's website. But I made a bunch of accounts, and I was able to order 10, and each of them sold for $100. And they were instant sales too, just like the Godzillas.
Good stuff. Good time.
Wild.
Thanks
for letting us know, Cisco. God.
Hey, if we were friends back then.
I liked the Godzillas because they were pretty simple prep. Like, as someone who was new to the thing, all I had to do was make sure I got the battery, slap on a sticker. I was happy about it.
That's true.
It's easy. Yeah.
Easy money.
So, Carter, fast forward to today. What do your business operations look like?
Yeah, so right now, I think my peak for OA was about 73,000 in December. As of right now, March, we're on pace for around 50,000 in revenue the last 30 days. I have a team of 2 virtual assistants. The first one just does all product research for me, finds leads, and through some of Logan's strategies and some other people I've been listening to, I've been crafting I would consider my main Amazon VA into my buyer. So, he now has access to all the retail websites that I purchased from, access to my, credit cards so that he can go ahead and make those payments. He has the VPN. So I'm really working on, I guess what you would call outsourcing. And so I can kind of focus on aspects of the business where I see the highest ROI. So
yeah. Are you all the way?
All the way right now. Yep.
Okay, cool.
So that's how your business is going right now. What do you have any like specific business goals that you want to accomplish before the end of the year this year?
Okay, so big goals. I could bring on another team member. I think really that's a good question because I feel like I have a couple different goals. Obviously, I want to grow my revenue. I think I want to start getting out of items that I've seen a little bit higher return rate. So I sold a lot of clothing, shoes, and apparel. Back in the day when I first started, I sold stuff like women's bras and ladies
bras.
Yoga pants.
Yeah.
And while the margins are great, the return rates kind of ate me. And for a long time, I kind of avoided looking at that metric until I stopped avoiding it and started diving into. I'm like, oh, okay, I now have 10 women's bras at my house. Am I going to sell these on eBay? Am I going to donate them? So I think I think the main word is leakage. I want that's the word that's been going around the last couple of months. I need to really dive into my leakage, figure out where I'm losing a little bit of money and really focus in on that.
I think you're the only guy complaining about bras at your house.
I'm a unique one, Josh.
Come on now. This is what he was doing since he was 12, buying bras and selling them on eBay.
Yeah, exactly. He's had a lot of experience. All right.
Used socks, man. They got great money on eBay. No, I'm playing. I did sell used clothing, but not like underwear or anything like that. That's a little too much for me.
Yeah, bras are a bit of a tough one because Logan would liquidate a lot of returns and stuff on Mercari, but I don't think you could do bras on like Mercari. Maybe eBay, maybe. I'm not really sure where you would liquidate that. But
you know what would be a great business that I was thinking of is for someone to create a service where they would essentially take care of everyone's Amazon returns and sell them for like consignment. Like I would do that. I would do that in a heartbeat. Like I have a stack of just Amazon returns, and like a lot of them are new condition. Like I don't know why people returned them. Like maybe they just didn't.
I don't even know if you could
bought the wrong color, but like if you're listening to this, you want to start a business.
That's a really good idea
for Amazon seller returns. I'll be your first customer.
You got to pay a lot because that's like the worst part of it.
Yeah, but also your overhead is nothing. You're literally taking in the inventory and you're selling it for them. So like the risk is pretty low on whoever starts it side. Just a lot of time, but
it is a lot of time. A lot of like physical manpower to get everything done. It's like it's like FBMing.
It could be
exactly
done. Could be done.
Yeah.
Interesting. I'd be interested. I've got like 100 return boxes in the other room over there.
I don't quite have 100, but I've got a lot.
It's bad.
You guys don't get rid of them? I got like 2.
I'm saving them up. I'm saving them up so I can make a YouTube video called Amazon sent me like 1,000 returns or something like that. If I wasn't creating content, then I would.
It was always like a Saturday task, but then it was like I'm tired and this just drags.
Next week task.
I just keep pushing it off. Like,
it's like stepping on Legos. Like it's just awful.
It's the best pain in the world. What do you mean?
Dude, stop. That is such a dad comment from Cisco. Okay, I want to know what, changing topics a little bit, what's your like biggest headache in outsourcing right now?
Biggest headache in outsourcing.
Like what's slowing you down the most kind of?
So the first issue I was having was order cancels. Now, I do believe the VPN ended up figuring that out. There was one or two sites in particular that we kept getting cancels, and we would try different cards, and eventually we like switched VPNs and got the paid version for my VA. He was using the free version, and I was like, oh, let's get the paid version, and it ended up working. I would be basically transferring the knowledge that I know into my virtual assistant, because if he's the one doing the sourcing, and one big issue is we're trying to figure out quantities to purchase. I think I reached out to Logan about this a while ago. You know, my virtual assistant, he finds a great lead. It's profitable. I want him to be able to determine how many units to purchase. And so we've been trying to build out like a procedure and, trying to figure out like, based off of the amount of sellers, average monthly units sold, how many units we should be buying. And so that's one thing we're trying to work on.
Yeah, that's huge. That was one of the last things that I outsourced. Like, I think I had my buying outsourced and all my review process done, but I was still going in and entering the lot quantities. It really just takes a lot of time. Like when you first started out, you didn't know how many units to buy.
Oh,
so
yeah.
It just takes a long time of looking at that data and figuring it out.
Yeah. And what I've been doing is like I have him basically input on the spreadsheet like his quantity that he suggests. And then essentially I put down my quantity, and usually we'll kind of have like a call once a week, and I'll be like, hey, like here you said you would buy 10 units. I would have actually bought 15, or hey, maybe you would have bought 20 units here. I actually would have bought less because of this, this, and this. Just giving that feedback.
Absolutely.
I think is super important.
Feedback is huge. Yeah. So what we do is my manager puts in a want quantity, and then it's multiplied by the COGS, so we can see how much total she wants to spend on the ASIN. And then if it's over a certain amount, she has to get approval.
That's another thing we were going to do. I think I set mine at like, if the order total was going to be over, $750, like reach out to me first so that I can confirm, because I guess I would consider that a larger order.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. See, I like that.
Yeah, I like this because it's like I'm a coach, so I come out from like a coaching standpoint. Like you can just do a mindless drill in any sport, whatever it is. But if you actually put them like in-game situation, then you're gonna understand why you're doing that drill. And that's essentially what you guys are doing. Like you're going like 100%. You're doing the in-play, and then they're actually learning how to do it and be self-sustaining, which is outsourcing. Yeah, I really like that. That's smart.
I agree, Josh.
A lot of reps though. You gotta put in reps on the front end. Yeah, which seems to be a theme. You gotta throw
different
Amazon.
Situations. Yeah, well, it's the name of the game, right?
So Carter, we talked about how we were all inspired by your content, and obviously you're pumping out Instagram and on other platforms. So I'm curious to hear, what is your motivation behind creating content? Why are you creating content?
So there was one guy that really changed my life. His name is Steve Rakin at Rakin Profit.
Shout out Steve Rakin at rakinprofit.com.
Yeah. So yeah, rakinprofit.com. Back in the day, he created content and he basically motivated me to start selling on eBay. And so I followed him. Then he started selling on Amazon, FBA. Like there was no videos out there. He's like, guys, I'm doing this FBA thing and Amazon's holding my inventory. And I'm like, you know what, I'm going to try it. And so I guess basically what I'm trying to say is because someone else took some time out of their day to create content, I am where I am. And so I feel like it's in me that I need to put out some content because there's someone else out there that was once in my shoes. And one video could obviously take them to the next level. So obviously I have that feeling of giving back. And then there's also just building the personal brand. I mean, the whole reason you guys are doing this podcast, I mean, you guys are trying to work together to build your personal brand, trust, credibility, rapport, all that great stuff. And so my goal is to continue to build my personal brand because, I mean, am I going to be doing Amazon 50 years from now? I'm not quite sure. Am I going to be doing business 50 years from now? You're darn right I am. So whatever it is going to be, my personal brand, I want people to be able to follow me and follow on that journey. So hopefully that answers the question.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. And so, you know, with doing so many things and kind of it always being a grind and always consistently having changes in the space, how do you personally avoid burnout, or how do you keep yourself motivated to keep going? We know that Rakin was your inspiration to start everything, but inspiration only kind of gets you started and gets the balls rolling, but you got to have something else to keep the wheels turning and turning and turning. What is that for you?
Yeah, so Cisco, that's honestly a great question. And like, first off, I'm no expert and like I get burnt out. Like, I think I really am not a fan of the hustle culture. What you might see on social media, I worked 16 hours today, I worked 18 hours, then I went to bed. I'm like, when did you eat? When did you shower? When did you've been on your phone 7 hours today? I'm sure you weren't doing like, so I feel like balance, you know, obviously like everyone always says balance, but I mean, I don't really want to be working 18 hours a day. Like I like hanging out with my family. I like to play sports. I like to work on my fitness. So, and just recently I had a business that I had invested money in that was outside of Amazon. And I had like a realization, like if I start this new business, what's it going to do? It's going to take time away from the current businesses I already have. And so I pulled the plug on it. And that was just also for like my mental sanity, like just one less business. And like you said, like if you have 5 businesses, you can only put 20% into each of them. It's gonna be hard to take it to that next level. So I think really focusing on where I see the biggest growth, which is with my Amazon business, which is with my Discord community and my personal brand. Those are my big 3 right now. In real estate, but like I'm not doing that day to day.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with you. And I think at least what's helped me kind of stay grounded and keep the balls rolling and not get too, you know, spread out with everything for me has been my wife. Just because, like, for example, like this morning today, I actually got up at 5 a.m, like I keep always telling myself to do. And I was like, okay, I got up. Instead of doing that, let me start sourcing. Let me start doing something. And I was literally pushing off working out, which is something that I always do. I don't prioritize working out, as everyone can tell a little bit. And so I always prioritize sourcing, spending time with my family, and just getting work done that needs to get done. And then I put my health last, which, you know, right now it's fine. You know, I'm still 30, so I'm not that old. But eventually, once I get to my elder 30s, my 40s, that's going to really start creeping up, and I'm going to spend less time in my business for health issues. And so for me, my wife has kind of helped me spread everything across and has been really the trigger that says, hey, you need to slow down. You need to take a look at this. You need to do this. Like, hey, you're not really being present while we're here at the dinner table. Like, figure your stuff out.
Yeah. I think getting
so
a second person's feedback.
Yeah,
second person's feedback is always great, whether it's a spouse or a business friend or a family member, someone else that can kind of chime in and see, you know, what path you're taking. It's always good to take that feedback. I do the same with people that are close to me as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Feedback's super important. And it's super important to always be thinking about that balance between all realms of our life. It's easy to get caught up in just business, or maybe you are, you know, working on your health, but you're hyper focused on just health and then the other aspects.
Yeah. Then your business is slipping.
Find that balance between all realms that are important in your life and figure out what is important in your life. If you don't know what's important, then you can't find the balance.
Oh, 100%.
Good point.
That's a Logan quote of the day. Let's
clip that.
Let's tap that.
You gotta put that into a tweet, man.
There you go.
Yeah, Carter, you mentioned your Discord community. So can you tell us a bit about the Selling Fastlane?
Oh man, I'm gonna have to get y'all an affiliate link, but basically, just over 2 years ago, I started this community. Now I'll kind of give you the backstory. So I had a course, basic beginner course, teaching people how to sell on Amazon. And as one of the free add-ons, I had a private Discord. I was teaching retail arbitrage. And what essentially happened is I started sharing in that Discord the products that I was selling because they were high volume sellers. Like you could find them at your Walmarts, Home Depots. And I started posting them in there. And as I started promoting on Instagram, people would hit me up and they'd be like, hey, can I join the Discord? Well, I'm like, well, to join the Discord, you have to be a part of, my course, my training. Well, they're like, I already know how to sell on Amazon. I just want access to the products you're giving to your members. And so, I had the idea to create essentially a monthly subscription where people have to pay to become a part of it. And they get access to, I guess, what you consider leads, community, coaching calls. And fast forward, 2 years later, we have a couple hundred members in there. Everyone's working together and we're launching a 2.0 soon. So I'll building out a free course, just trying to give as much value because these are people that are paying me. They're investing in me. And so I need to make sure that I'm providing as much value as I can. And now we're 100% online arbitrage because business changes. The landscape changes where it was 2 years ago, where you could walk into a Walmart and walk out with a couple $100s in profit. It's much more difficult. So we've kind of rotated into online arbitrage, that kind of teaching, sector leads, all that cool stuff. So.
I want to interrupt the programming real quick just to tell you about the sponsor of today's video, the Selling Fastlane Discord community. This is Carter Maxwell's Discord community where they post profitable leads, have tons of channels for networking, and giving you the chance to discuss your business with other Amazon sellers, ask questions, overall just help each other grow, and also take advantage of the leads that they provide. I was back in this Discord around the pool patrol days, and they were super helpful for me in growing my RA business. Hopefully you can get the same value as I did. If you're interested, go to the link down below, enter coupon code Logan at checkout, and you'll be able to join for your first month for only $25. And then going forward, the monthly fee is $49.99 per month. So if you're interested at all, link down below, and don't forget to enter coupon code Logan at checkout.
So with you being in touch with a lot of the community, what do you think is, one of the reasons why people fail at this business? I know like what I've heard a lot is everything just tanks or it's super saturated. And I don't believe things do tank, but I think there's such an abundance of products that you can hop on. So what have you seen on your end of why you think people fail in this business?
So why do people fail? I feel like that's a really good question. So I think people fail because they give up. Either it's like a lack of knowledge, a lack of capital, or a lack to just stick with it. Like Cisco, Josh, Logan. I'm sure when you guys first started on Amazon, it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. Like you probably made mistakes. You probably lost some money. A lot of people just don't have it in them to keep going. Like they can't, the fear of failing, the fear of making a mistake, the fear of losing money, they won't even take that action. Now, for the people that do take action, the skill that makes you the money is product research. If you don't have the ability to find profitable products and it doesn't matter about everything else, you're not going to be able to build and grow that business. So I think it's just a lack of knowledge. And one thing that I wish I would have done sooner is networking with other sellers. I used to just, because like I said, the landscape 6 years ago was different. Like you didn't talk about strategy with other sellers. Like you were just too nervous. They would find your storefront. They would find the products that you sell. I feel like times have changed. I know people that share leads with each other, which I think could definitely be a great strategy. They're sharing, websites they like to shop on, discount codes. So I think the ability to reach out to someone who might be in a similar position with you, you guys can work together to really take it to the next level. So,
absolutely. Oh yeah, absolutely. I like that. Me and Logan actually have an ongoing debate that what is more important, either your mindset or community. I'm definitely more on the mindset side, and Logan's definitely more on the community side. They're both important. They're both important, but it's back and forth. Which side are you on? Where's your vote on?
mindset kind of came to me first. I mean, I feel like if you don't believe you can do it, it doesn't matter what kind of knowledge that someone could give you the exact blueprint. But if you don't believe you can do it, then you'll never take action. So, I mean, it's pretty even 50-50.
They're both important.
Both important, 100%.
I think the reason why mindset resonates more with me is because I feel like when I started on Amazon, it was through that like the COVID wave, the chlorine wave, the Godzilla wave, and then shortly after that, it was the Gabby Dollhouse wave. Right, there was always that bolo item that you didn't have to really worry about sourcing as long as you could find these items in different stores. You were making 5, 6, 7,000 profit just from these ASINs themselves, and then that kind of dried up, and then I could have easily just quit, except I'm not a quitter unless it's something bad. And then I really kind of buckled down and started sourcing, and then I started networking, and I started talking to Logan more. We became closer, and so on and so forth. And then the rest is history. Then there's the Doughboys.
Here we are,
the Doughboys.
All because Cisco didn't give up.
There you go.
Should have gave up,
reason.
I feel like a lot of people were in that position. I was in that same position. I was doing reach to arbitrage, and I was hunting for the next home run, products that were changing my life. And then, it slowly dried up, and I could have gave up and started posting on Instagram saying Amazon's dead, it's too saturated. I looked for that next opportunity. It happened to be a different business model I knew nothing about. But I hopped into it. I learned. I watched videos. I took action, and we are where we are today. So
always got to be ready to pivot.
100%.
Yeah, and it's also such an interesting industry because you have a bad month and you make like $2,000 profit. That's still crazy. If you think about it, it's like you have to keep it in perspective. But yeah.
And don't compare yourself to other people. Comparison is the thief of joy. When I first started, I saw people that were doing 100K a month, and I was doing at that time maybe 20, 30, 40K.
Right.
Even now, I'm like, oh my gosh, like just don't compare yourself. You don't know how long they've been doing online arbitrage for, or maybe where they've been getting information from. So just make sure you're getting better every day.
Carter, I'm going to definitely give you a little bit of pushback here. What you just said about comparison is the thief of joy. I agree and I don't agree at the same time. So there's a story that was told to me, right, of these orphan, siblings that went to two different parents. They had the same history, background, everything. Their foster parents were basically identical copies of each other. One ended up going down a bad track and went to prison, and the other one ended up being successful. And the reason why they both said that they got to where they were was the same exact reason. And the reason that they got there was mostly because of their mindset. One person faulted their past for the reason of why they got to where they were in prison. The other one used it as a inspiration to never get back to that area, right? So in comparison, I feel like it's the exact same thing, right? If you're looking for joy, then it could potentially take some away from you. But if you're looking at it as a competition standpoint and it like driving you to do better and be better and kind of building that chip on your shoulder, like Tom Brady did, right? He compared himself to those 8 quarterbacks. The next thing you know, he became the best one because he compared himself to those quarterbacks and he knew he was better and he continued to strive to be better in his niche.
Actually, I think that's a great take. That's a great take right there.
This is nitpicking language, and I know that, but I'm going to disagree with that because comparing is drawing your sense of value and worth off of what the other person is doing or what they're making. Like Tom Brady didn't compare himself. He had a chip on his shoulder. No, he had a chip on his shoulder, and he had pride in the fact of his abilities. He didn't say, I'm only good if I'm better than those quarterbacks. He said, no, I'm better than those quarterbacks, and so I'll be better. That's not comparing. Comparing is taking what they've done and taking that as your identity and your value. And I think that's why it doesn't work. Like Logan just posted on his Instagram story this morning at the gym, and it was, don't compare yourself to others, be 1% better than yourself yesterday. That's taking stock in yourself, and that's like internal. So it'll always be like self-sufficient. But if you're comparing yourself to someone else and then they fail, like let's say they fall off, then you have no motivation anymore as well, even if you don't ever beat them. You know what I mean?
Well, if they fell off and you're still going and you're on top of the mountain, then you kind of beat them, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a very tricky thing, and it just depends on the individual person and how they take things. Like for me, I'm a hyper competitive person when it comes to certain aspects of my life. There's other things that I'm super lazy at, but business and money is one of the things that I'm hyper competitive at. And for me, it drives me when I see someone else that I think I should be doing better than, and then it pushes me to do better and to go forward. Now, my wife doesn't always like it because then it says it's like me, like, babe, sorry, I think our daughter's bed. I'm gonna go to Walmart real quick. I gotta outsell this other person.
Gotta find some Godzillas.
Yeah, gotta find some Godzillas. But
Carter, I want to hear about your Philippines trip.
Wow. Okay, I'm actually glad you brought that up, and y'all should come with me next time because I've had a lot of Amazon sellers that they have virtual. Like I would just say, it was a life-changing experience. And one thing I want to put out there, and the one thing I don't like is there's a lot of Amazon sellers and they talk down on virtual assistants. Oh, my VA didn't find me any profitable leads, I fired them. So what you don't understand is that is a human being that is trying to provide for their family. And they're working like, sometimes my virtual assistant will stay up till midnight and I literally have to tell him to like go to bed. It was just it's a different level of life out there. Like I was able to go into like these people that were living in, I mean, what I would consider like a shack, kids playing on the streets, barefoot, dirty, kicking around like a 20-year-old soccer ball. And it was a really cool experience to be able to meet my team in person. And I wanted to show this real quick, but I flew everyone out, like all expenses paid for. And not that they spent a ton of money, but they like gave me some gifts. I don't know if you can read that.
That's awesome.
But like my team went in the mall and they bought me a gift. And this thing's called a Jeep. And so basically you pay like 20 cents and it's like their bus. But like
I love the Jeepneys. Aren't those awesome?
You like cram people in there. And I thought that was so cool. And like one person got me pants and like a mat, like just the level of appreciation they showed for me. It made me realize like, yes, these are my employees, but like now that I met them in person, like I almost consider them my friends. So if you have a ticket, it'll probably cost you about $1,000 round trip. And once you're there, it's really cheap. Highly recommend it.
Was that in Manila?
Yes. So the capital, Manila. I actually ended up I went to a couple different islands. It was fun. Nice. So Manila is like big city.
Yeah.
It's like their New York, you got high rises. That's where a lot of tourists go. But a lot of people will fly there and they'll go to some of the other really beautiful islands. I actually took my main VA, all expenses paid for. We went to an island that he's never been to. And like he's in his 30s.
Boracay?
So Boracay's the really touristy one. There was another one called El Nido. And we just had like 3 straight days of just fun. That's all. No business, just fun.
Nice.
That's so sick.
Yeah, I've actually been to Manila and Boracay. Not Boracay.
Oh, really?
Bulai. Yeah. So that's awesome. Like, it moves at a different pace in Manila for sure. Like, it's a different speed.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
It's awesome.
Yeah, but kind of back to Carter's point, like I feel like there really is a loss like in the humanity of things when it comes to business, that people kind of forget that they are people and they are trying to make a living for themselves and their families. I think it might have been misinterpreted by Gary Vee because he had a super viral video that went out that, hire fast, fire quicker or something along those lines. But they definitely missed the point of just like trying to actually stick with it and train a quality VA, because it might not actually be their fault that they're not sourcing as well as you want them to if you didn't put the time in.
Yeah, 100%. That's one thing. If you're not good at a skill, you can't expect your virtual assistant to be. Like if you don't know how to do product research, you can't get frustrated at them for not finding enough profitable products, because you are the business owner. You have to ingrain, you have to teach them and guide them along. So that's just my thoughts.
No, you're spot on. The business owner needs to take the accountability and realize that they need to self-analyze and say, maybe I didn't train them enough. Maybe I didn't make clear what our expectations were, and just self-analyze and look at what you could have done better. Don't point the finger at your employee.
100%.
Self-awareness.
I agree with that, but then where's the line where it is, is there ever a point where it is on them and they're like not performing? Like what's that look like? Where's that line? Is that after a month? Is it, I know it's not just like a set answer, but
Yeah. I would say like, I mean, business is business. If someone doesn't fit the role well, then, I mean, you have to, I've had people that I've brought on and they just simply don't have a good attitude. You know, they don't show up to my weekly, company calls. Like they're not very good communicating. So that I've had reasons where I've had to remove people because of that. And there's just some people that just didn't pick it up over time. For our Discord, we have like 7 full-time virtual assistants that are just finding leads for that community. I brought people on, and after a couple of weeks, we teach them, and now they're awesome. They're finding us a ton of great leads. Then there's just some people that, that maybe they're not super focused, or maybe behind the scenes they're working on another job or whatever it might be, and you have to let them go. So
I wanna share this story because it's really cool. So when Logan was first hiring VAs, he hired I think 2, maybe it was 2, and he passed on 1, and then he was like, oh, this is great, and he fell in love with it, and he went back and he tried to hire some more, and he went back and he actually got to hire another VA that he had passed on originally, and she is now, correct me if I'm wrong, Logan, but I believe she is now the highest performing VA he has, and she'll like bring it up on the calls and stuff that like Logan like passed on her first, but like
big mistake.
All that, yeah. Well, not because it worked out, but my point is like you might hire 3 VAs, and then after 3 weeks, let's say one of them is having a bad attitude, not showing up, and you had to fire them, and you're thinking, oh, that's terrible, but that might open a door for you to actually change another person's life, and so it's like you kind of have to think of like it falling forward, like everything is happening for some reason. It's some potential for good. Like you have to look at it from that perspective, I think.
Yeah. What I started doing is I would do like if I wanted to hire one VA, I get like sample projects, get people on interviews. But like if there was 2 or 3 and I couldn't decide, I would do like a 1-week paid trial with all 3 of them. And usually after a week of giving the same task to each of them, you can kind of get a good feel for who might be best for your business.
Yeah. That's a really good way to do it, I think. And if you can even do it longer, then you even get a better look.
Right. You can do it 2 weeks. It's really as long as you need to get a feel for who you want.
I think that's actually a really good business model for initially hiring VAs specifically.
Yeah. We usually do a 30-day probation period and just kind of see how they perform based on that. And some of my students in the Outsource Everything program, they're hiring VAs and they have that exact same situation where they just can't decide between a few solid candidates. So they hire them all for a 30-day probation run, and then they'll decide who's performing best at that point.
So 100%. I have a question for both you and Logan. So how do you guys, so Logan, you have your leads list, and Carter, you have your Discord. How do you guys pick and choose which leads that the VAs find go into these platforms, or is it just the best ones that they find go in there, and you may buy some of them as well? Or how does it work for both of you?
Yeah, I can talk about our process. So all of our leads just go into one master spreadsheet. So every VA has their own spreadsheet, and the reviewers pull them all into one master spreadsheet. And then for when my manager does the final review, she literally just starts at one section. Our minimum ROI for clients is 25 ROI. So she'll just start at the 25 ROI lead. If it's good to give to a client, she'll mark it our wolf list. Then the next one is lion, and the next one is wolf. And it's just alternating until we met the lead quota for the day.
Yeah, I would say mine's very similar to that. I would say like I don't take any of the leads out of there. Like my personal VAs are sourcing like certain brands, certain categories for the leads list. I mean, it's a Discord group that has leads in it. Like we're all categories, all brands. It's very similar to Logan. I don't want to get like too deep into the system because like it'd be like a 10-minute conversation. Basically, we have like one manager because we have a 7-person team. So like everyone, like when they find a lead, they submit it at the exact time to the reviewer. He reviews that lead. He's obviously, checking for IPs, making sure all the numbers match up, making sure, it's the correct item on the retailer and like just double checking everything. And then real time, he actually posts that in the Discord. Then like Logan said, we just post everything our VAs find. So that fits the criteria.
Yeah.
I've always been curious, so now I'm glad I know the answer.
So Carter, where can everybody find you on social media?
Man, okay, so you can follow me at the Carter Maxwell on Instagram, Carter Maxwell on YouTube. I'm on TikTok, but we won't. Just the main 2 are Instagram and YouTube, man.
Sweet.
Carter, can we expect any long form content from you? I went over your page earlier today. I just saw a bunch of shorts. Now the shorts are fire. I'll say that. The shorts are fire. But the last long form content was a year ago.
Yeah. So like you said, balance is one thing I'm trying to work on, and part of outsourcing the Amazon business better is so that it can hopefully free up some more time where I can start pushing out some more content. I've got the short, the reels, that kind of game down. Now I'm trying to get back into YouTube, man.